where they're graduating, 1,000 kids their senior year, and they started with 700. And when you really start to follow where these kids are going, they're not just moving. We're losing them. The understanding by many in the education community that they were going to have to go back to their communities and explain that the graduation rate it was not really 90, but closer to 70 or 75 or 80 or 60, depending on the community, really created an environment for reform. Second point I make real quickly, as you go back to your community and you try to develop a plan for what you're going to do to deal with this issue, I would encourage you to do the legwork necessary for nonpartisan consensus. And I really mean nonpartisan, not bipartisan. We have to treat this as if it's not political at all. There's no reason to throw stones. The blame, frankly, at this point really doesn't matter. It's the results and getting better that matters. Eventually, we were able to pass a fleet of reforms. Dave highlighted the dropout age changing to 18, better reporting of warning data, high school completion program at Ivy Tech, flex programs for high school. We got a lot done, but we did it in a bipartisan, really nonpartisan way. We went around and met with the ISTA, the State Superintendents Association, the State Principals Association, the State Latino Council, the Indiana Black Caucus, the State Education Roundtable, the State Higher Education Commission, the Indianapolis Star, every newspaper that would listen to us, and over a 2-year, 3-year period really got people engaged. The first year we worked on this reform, you know what the reform we got passed in the very first year of the state legislature? We changed the dropout age from 16 to 18 unless you wanted to drop out anyway. Okay? Now, it may sound silly, but what really we did is that we couldn't get some of the teeth put into the program, so we settled on a compromise that said if the parent and principal agree that the student should drop out anyway, they can just drop out. Now, that reform was important because at least it started to make principals accountable for that number, and they had to sign a little form, and so when the school board came and talked to them, or their boss, the superintendent, somebody in their leadership team had to acknowledge that they were a part of this dropout process. Later, we were able to get more teeth done. As you approach this in your community, focus on having accurate data and reaching out without throwing stones, because everybody, I believe this, everybody in the education world they want things to be better. And as long as you help them understand and acknowledge that you believe that they care, I think you'll find them very receptive to a message of working with you. It will take a community-driven approach to find success. Dave alluded very quickly to the fact that Time Magazine and later the Oprah Winfrey Show came to our community, and I don't mind telling you, when they started to call, I don't know if Dave got any of these phone calls, but I got a call from more than one community leader who said to me, "Luke, what are you doing to our community? How are we going to look when Time Magazine and the Oprah Winfrey Show come to take a look at us?" And Dave Adams, Tom Zobel, and our leadership, they took the opposite approach. They embraced that challenge, and I think they would tell you that they have found our entire community rallying to this cause. Because I'll tell you this, when Time Magazine and the Oprah Winfrey Show show back up to Shelbyville, Indiana, they're going to see that we've got some real reform. We already have improved our graduation rate by 10, 12, 15%, and we're just getting started. We're going to keep working at it. They have worked to design a program that works for our kids and not just trying to bend kids to fit into our programs. Some of the things that we're now doing in Shelbyville is we've got a credit lab on site for credit recovery during study hall, an off-site achievement center for higher performing students, alternative to expulsion and alternative to suspension programs that are off-site. We're staffing social workers at the elementary level and guidance counselors at the secondary level, focusing on family support and intervention and helping deal with some of the problems students deal with every day. We've enriched our curriculum. We're putting more challenging courses in for students who are really on a college track. I'm sure many of your speakers will talk to you about this today, but the old myth that the kids that are dropping out of school are just the kids that aren't smart or just the kids that don't have any ability, it's just not true. Many kids are dropping out because they're bored and they don't see how school's relevant. We're working on doing that as well. We've added full-day kindergarten and many, many other programs. Time Magazine and the Oprah Winfrey Show probably is not going to come to your town to be the rallying call for this change, but you can help create that environment in your community. A couple last quick stories, and I don't know if I've gone way too long. Maybe I have a couple minutes, but so just two more quick thoughts. One, If you haven't yet, take a look at what they're doing in Louisville. Louisville is a fascinating community. The American Youth Policy Forum asked me to go there about a year and a half ago, and I was able to observe what they're doing. They essentially, the entire Jefferson County, Louisville school system is consolidated, gives them some, frankly, resource and scale that some communities don't have, but they operate on the belief that we will have an irrevocable public school mission, no expulsions, a place that works for every child, and they mean it. Their school system has 97,000 students, 13,000 employees, 151 buildings. All 22 of their schools are schools of choice, many of them traditional, many of them alternative. Their dropout rate is 5%. They have a school for every child. I had an opportunity they have a school program for pregnant teens, a migrant education program for Latinos. I visited a school called Breckenridge Metropolitan, which is essentially almost a minimum security prison-like facility. The students walk in through a metal detector. They cannot bring in or leave with paper, pencils, pens, anything. For many of those kids, it's the first place in their life where they felt safe. I asked them, how do you pay for all these things? And their answer was essentially this: when you establish the principle that you'll have an opportunity for every child, the choices become clear. Many of our schools in their area, they may not have luxurious gyms or libraries, but they will have a place for every child. My dream, we have that in every community in Indiana. It's football season. I want to leave you with one last story, okay? It's a story told about Bear Bryant. Some of you here in the room, I can look around, you're probably old enough to remember Kenny Stabler. He used to play quarterback, later for the Raiders, but he was the quarterback for Alabama way before that. Bear Bryant used to tell the story. They were in a away football game at LSU. It was time for the victory formation. They were at the end of the game, and if they took a knee, the game was over. They got into the huddle, and one of the players said to Kenny, he said, Kenny, we don't go out of here going on a knee. He said, let's throw a bomb. We'll go out of here in style. So Kenny dropped back. He threw a bomb, and it was intercepted. The cornerback went streaking down the field. They were ahead by 6 points. The cornerback went streaking down the field, and Kenny Stabler ran him down about 3 yards short of the goal line. The LSU coach came over, talked to Bear Bryant. He said, Bear, I don't want to hear any more about old slow-footed Kenny Stabler. He just ran down the fastest player on my team. Bear said, well, coach, here's the thing. Your man was running for a touchdown, and my man was running for his life. Okay? When you have a sense of urgency, things are just a little bit different. I think one of the challenges, and I thought he'd say it earlier today, he'll be talking about it, I'm sure, tonight, but one of the things, if you listen to Tony Bennett, he says every day, is we have to understand, folks, that we are competing in the international marketplace. People in other countries are waking up every day trying to figure out how they develop programs that position their kids to defeat our kids in the competition of the next 20, 30, 40, and 50 years. Even when I grew up in Greensburg, we were worried about competing in the kids in Bedford or Rushville or maybe Indianapolis. Today's kids are going to be competing against the kids of Bangkok and Bangladesh and Ireland and Baghdad. And we have to have a sense of urgency about examining our systems and doing what we need to make our system better. We owe our kids no less. There's the old saying, only the lead dog sees a change of scenery. And everybody in this room lived in a country where we were the lead dog. Let's make sure our kids have that same opportunity. Thank you.